Audio Jungle.
All right, you guys set up and ready?
Audio Jungle.
3, 2, 1, go!
Audio Jungle.
Hello, everyone. We're here. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'm genuinely honored to be taking over the Wacom Experience Center stream. It's funny. I'm so used to streaming, but whenever you go on somewhere new, you get those little bit of nerves, which is good. But that's kind of what it's all about. Like, you want to kind of feel those things in life, don't you? And I'm excited to be able to draw somewhere new. We're going to have a good bit of fun here. And go through loads of drawings, and hopefully like we can talk about my career and all the different stuff that I've done, and we can go back and we can show you some of the work that I've done. I've even taken out a nice show and tell with all of the comics that I've had published and stuff like that. So we'll go through everything here today. I'll try to do as much tutorial stuff as I can, and I'll try not to let my normal chat community derail me, which is what they often usually do. So I'm excited. Just to let you know who I am. Oh, people I never put channel points on my own one, so they're going to be going crazy with those. Hydrate, does that mean I have to drink my cup of tea? I can do that. I've finally had an idea for channel points. I might finally put them on my own one. But there we go. Now people can make me drink cups of tea. It's okay. I love tea. All right. Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Will Sliney. I'm best known from my work with Marvel. I ironically say that as my Batman piece comes up on the side. Working on Spider-Man and Star Wars. I've been working for Marvel for about 8 years now. I've done about 60 issues of Spider-Man, a bunch of Star Wars titles. I worked on Fearless Defenders with them, which was an amazing book to be a part of as well. And I'm new enough to Twitch. I'm here about 7 months, I believe it is now. So, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the art community that has kind of come to life, that I've, really started to explore and feel like I've become a part of over here on Twitch, which is so nice. Very much enjoyable. And with that, I've been keen to stream more. So what I've done is I've switched over to work on a creator-owned project with Image Comics. A lot of you might know them from publishing like really big books such as like The Walking Dead, Invincible, Saga. They're basically the #1 kind of creator-owned comic book publisher in the world, and it's where you kind of get to create your own characters and keep your ownership of them. And you kind of set your own rules for your projects, and one of those is I'm going to be doing this entire comic live on Twitch. It's going to be written by Charles Soule, who is my partner on the Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren. He's now leading the charge with Star Wars The High Republic, which is amazing. So I'm genuinely honored to get to do a creator-owned book with him. And we're creating it all live. The promo image went live last week, and since then we've created some comic book pages. So it's really cool to open up the process of creating a comic, to talk about the storytelling decisions, why we're drawing things in a certain way. We're even sneaking in a few little Easter eggs of people that are in the chat into the comic book wherever we can. And then, the pages kind of start to come to life with everyone involved. We've got a few pages done. I can talk through the storytelling of those in a second now. And we're going to be doing the first appearance of a new character in it, who is this character here, Sebastian, from the promo image. Okay, so let me make sure I say hello to everyone in the chat. How's everybody doing? First off, Tara, thanks for the early raid. I really appreciate that. Onyx Magic, here for the cheese. Twisted Zephyr, Wacom, hello Wacom fam. I'm delighted to be a part of that right now for sure. Hey Random Ditch, FaZe Blood, Twisted Zephyr, I said that already. Gary, Logan, what's up everyone? No, I'm pumped. I'm very, very excited to do this for sure. So I'm going to be keeping it as interactive as I possibly can. That's always my favorite thing to do. So what would you like to see first? Do you want me to get started with the drawing, or would you like me to take you through some of the work that I've already done? I'll give you a few seconds while I hydrate, as we call it. You want me to start drawing? Start drawing? Okay, we can do that. No problem at all. We'll take a little break in a minute. I guess that's why we're here. We'll take a little break later on, and we'll go back into looking at some of the earlier work that I've done in my career. You can kind of see a lot of it popping up on the side in that little video that I have. Most of them are just different, the people who've spoken. Most of them are different covers that I've done over the years from Marvel. Couple of other different things outside there. I need to update it now. I've got a bunch of new covers. I just had a cover come out a couple of days ago with Ghost Rider, and I have a Star Wars cover being revealed on Friday, also being revealed on stream, which is cool, for Star Wars The High Republic. But a lot of stuff, that's stuff for Angel and Firefly that I've worked on as well. But let's draw. Let's do that. Okay, so I've blocked out an area here where I'm leaving it all completely fresh, drawing it from the start, where we're going to create this character, and I'll kind of possibly add in a couple more steps than I normally do often when I'm on stream, just to make sure that everyone kind of knows every little which way that I do that. First thing I'm going to do is just go about drawing this character. We'll start off with that, then I'll kind of go back through the pages that I've done. I'll explain the storytelling decisions. One of the key things when you want to be a comic book artist, it's not just about creating nice pinups, nice, pretty drawings of like superheroes, stuff like that. The key thing is that you're a good storyteller. The best comic book artists really are the ones that can tell the best story. And I also use the analogy that I've lost where I was. The best artists are the best storytellers. It's so important to be able to do that, to be able to, let me mute my phone, to be able to tell a story. Oh yeah, sorry. I often use the analogy where, if you give a movie script to two directors, it's a really, really good movie script. That doesn't mean both directors are going to make a really good movie. The good director will let you know how to invoke different emotions and how to feel when you look at something by choosing the type of shot, choosing the type of lighting. That's all of the stuff that we do as a storyteller, as a comic book artist. So we'll talk through all of those as well. So it really should be good fun to do that. You're going to see some ink work takes you back when you learned, oh wow, that's awesome, Twisted Zephyr. I pretty much do pencils and inks. Everything that I'll do in blue you can kind of assume is the pencil stage. Everything that I'll do in black is what would traditionally be the inks. But because I work digitally on a Wacom, it's almost like you can skip a little bit of a step in between. You can kind of merge the pencils and the ink step because you're able to press that magic Control Z. I've been working digitally since 2008. To be honest with you, I was one of the first ever people to get a Wacom. And it was because I moved. I'd just broken into the comic book scene. I went to Canada for a year, and instead of bringing with me a massive, A3, as we call it over here, scanner, to be able to scan in your pages, because you draw your pages at 11 by 17, they just released the first Wacom Cintiq. You can tell me what the actual name of that one was, if you have that. It was a small one anyway. Maybe it was the second one. It was the first kind of small one that you could fit into a laptop bag. And basically that and a laptop traveled with me around the world, and I was able to do these comics from Canada, from Japan, from America and stuff as I kind of traveled around. And I've been digital ever since. 12WX, that could be it. It was definitely that size anyway. It served me really, really well. And then I've moved on to this one, the 24HD, which I often joke that I know this Cintiq longer than I know my wife. This is a tank that has lasted me for 10 years now. So, okay, so let's get drawn. Let's get drawing. I'm excited. Okay, the first thing that I'll often do is I'll break down the figure into stick figures. People often have a bit of a fear of the page when they start their drawings. You know, you don't know how to start, and it's good to break it down into something nice and simple to do. This is kind of what I do at my thumbnail stage, and I'm actually thumbnailing out the pages. If I'm not sure of a pose, or if I'm not sure of what way to do the pose or anything like that, it's nice and quick and easy to get a stick figure down. So, you know, I can just really quickly plot out this pose. Now I've figured out this pose already. I've gone through this process. I'm kind of re-stepping over it for all of you on here to be able to see. But essentially, there are a lot of pluses to doing something nice and simple at the start, and it's that it's really quick and easy to be able to do this. It's really quick and easy to be able to make these changes. You know, if I want this character to have, you know, his arm up here with his hand on his head and like doing a bit of an Irish dance like this with one leg up, and he's kind of kicking his foot out like here, I can do that nice and quickly and easy at this stage. It's not a problem to do that. I'm not too, you know, married to the piece that I've done. It's easy for me to change it. I don't feel like I've wasted an awful lot of time, and I'll figure a lot of stuff out here. And this is usually the first kind of a stage that I do at that, you know. Okay, so, and then after that, I'll start blocking out the figure on top of it. It's nice and easy to start, but I'll block it out with nice simple shapes. So that's what I'm going to do here, and the shape that I'm going to use the most is a cylinder, okay? So, if you think of it like a cylinder, like a tin of beans, okay, imagine it's like that. That's kind of the shape that we're going to use in here. I've talked about this on stream before. We don't want to just have cylinders that are nice and, you know, rigid and don't move at all. We want to have nice curves and bends to these cylinders, because as comic book artists, we want to make these pieces nice and dynamic. Classic Bean Man. Yeah, there you go. It's the old Disney animators trick. You know, if you drop your sack of flour on the ground, you know, you don't have it perfectly stiff like this. You want to have like a nice little bit of movement to that bag as it like rests on the ground, or the top of it might flop over, or the top of it might flop backwards, and you'll see all of a sudden this thing has some nice movement. It's moving around, and that's what the Disney animators did. They'd pop a little head on the top of it, and there you go, you've got your Mickey Mouse, and a lot of the movement will come from these torsos. When we're creating comics, we're creating 2D images on a 2D piece of paper. I am in full tutorial mode. I'm talking really fast. We draw these pieces, we draw them on a piece of paper, these 2D images on a 2D piece of paper. We need to make them look like they're alive, like they're three-dimensional, like they're moving and they're coming at you towards the screen, you know. So that's what we really need to do. Yeah, those are the fall. We did that yesterday. You're right, actually, Thor. Kidney beans. It's good. Yes, exactly. Fall Guys is a great example of that. All the movement that they get, you just see that character, his head bobbing from left to right, and there's lots of movement in that. Oh, thanks, Tara. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here, but we're not going to just do it with the torso. So we'll start with the torso. There we go. We've got a nice little curve for the torso like that. If you notice that we have the shoulders, the line of the shoulders alternating with the line of the hips like this. And that's very, very important, because that kind of a natural kind of a movement will give our character kind of life as he kind of balances out, okay? We're going to do the same then for the hands, okay? We're going to add in these cylinders with slight curves. We're not thinking about the muscles at this stage. We're thinking about the subconscious movement that our figure has, okay? And by putting in these slight curves, it just gives like a natural kind of a movement, a natural kind of a momentum to the piece. I'm going to do the same here. A slight little curve for the leg, you know, as long as both sides of the cylinder curve in the same direction. We don't want this yet. We don't want cylinders that curve out and meet in the middle here, because that subconsciously creates a stop, creates a little bit of a dead end there. So often people will think of the muscles before they think of the movement, and they'll add the limbs together with these kind of bulging cylinders, and that's not what you want. You want to think about the movement first and foremost, especially when you're in comics. Like, I've had years of working on Spider-Man, and it's all about getting that movement into that figure, getting that nice dynamism into them as much as they can. Okay. You drawing along, Tara? That would be class. If anyone is doing that, please feel free to tell me to slow down. You know, I'm so used to just working away on my own comics. I taught you more in the last 5 minutes than your teacher taught you all year. That's hilarious. Don't ever say that to them. That's lousy. Well, people will be showing different techniques. You know what I mean? It's all about the cheating. Gary actually in the chat there created a piece based on our Hell to Pay comic, and he very smartly, instead of drawing loads of skulls like I did in this piece, created a skull brush and just replicated the skulls over and over again, which was really, really cool. So fair play. I wish I had that kind of foresight. Kind of happy just to sit back and watch. Awesome. What kind of commission were you working on, Twisted Zephyr? Let me make sure I've got access to my... Okay, perfect. We're good. Skullbrush is brilliant. He also created... I'm gonna embarrass Gary now, and I'm gonna show you his work, what he did on my own Discord. Let me see. So we have a little section for our challenge. Okay. So he created a skull brush, but he also created a chain link brush, because I've created a kind of a chain that's a hexagonal chain. So Gary created this brush, which you're able to draw with just one kind of stroke, and it works really, really well. Awesome, Gary. And there's his skull brush down there. There you go, dude. We actually have more fan art for Hell to Pay than official art, which is amazing way to start. That's the kind of foresight that sometimes I don't take the time to do, and I wish I did more of. To be honest with you, I do an awful lot of work in ZBrush and 3D Studio Max and Blender, which I'm learning as well. And I have a plan to make a model of a chain link brush. That you can do some lovely stuff in ZBrush to create stuff like that, which I might possibly do on stream. I've never streamed it yet here for Cheese, but I'm thinking about starting, especially ZBrush. The thing is, I got quite good at it, and then I stopped sculpting when my son was born, because I didn't have time. Whereas now I think it might be a nice thing to do on stream and learn with everyone else. And I'm at a certain level with ZBrush, like a lot of the anatomy stuff will come over. It really helps you learn your anatomy. Super cool program. Yeah, gorgeous. Like I'm gonna be sculpting some of the assets from Hell to Pay, and we want to be able, like, how cool it will be able to like 3D print them and let people be able to get access to like some of the props, and you know, like the hilt of the sword, things like that, the coins for sure. So maybe we'll do it on stream. Maybe we'll come back on here, do a bit of ZBrush. Blender I'm learning. Blender is awesome because it's free. Pretty amazing open source software. Pretty powerful stuff as well. Okay, I'm going ahead. I must remember tutorial mode. Whenever I'm drawing a hand, I'll break it down into simple shapes as well. A lot of drawing is all about breaking stuff down into a simple kind of a shape, a kind of a way of doing things as possible. It's identifying the stuff that you're doing and just kind of learning how to find a simple way to do it. Like, even though you see hands and faces all the time, loads of times a day, they're still super complex things to do. So we break them down. We break them down into simple things. So that's what we're going to do here. I break down a hand into a rectangle, and I break it up into the index finger and then the 3 other fingers like that. The ball of the hand, and then the thumb. And there you go. Really, really simple. It's really, really easy for me to do that because I'm not thinking about those individual fingers at the start. As soon as you start doing those, it becomes really complex and really, really difficult to do. You haven't checked out the grease pencil? Yeah, that looks really, really interesting. Drawing on a 2D layer basically within 3D, and then you can combine those 2D layers into a 3D scene, which is amazing. Definitely more instructional today, Robbie. Yeah, Rob. You haven't done any 3D modding since you got it? Well, that's the time to do it, Squiddy. Definitely. So that's what I'm going to do with these hands. I'm going to break them down into like their simple forms. You know, the rectangle for the palm, the ball for the thumb. We're not really going to see the index finger here because it's behind the head, but it's still no problem. I'm kind of doing it as well, okay? Yeah, I'm going to try and be more instructional than I normally am, Rob. while we're over here, if I can. But please, as always, if there's something in particular that I draw that you're not sure of how I do it, just feel free to ask me, let me know, and we'll take over and we'll do that. The head then, there's a couple of different ways of doing the head. You know, this is your Loomis method. A lot of people will know this, where you'll break down the head into different areas like this. You know, I bet most of you know this. Halfway's down the circle to get the eye line, halfway's between this and the bottom to get the nose line, halfway's between this line and here to get the mouth line. You might have seen that a million times before, okay? That's going to tell you where your eyes, where your nose, and where your mouth is, where your ears are. Nice little triangle between all of those to keep them equidistant. The distance between the eyes is the same distance here again, okay? I'll keep talking pretty fast because you can clip these things if you want to, but tell me to slow down because I want to get through loads of drawings while I have you here, okay? But also, I realize, and I always say this, that I'm Irish, so I talk pretty fast. So feel free to tell me to slow down, okay? This is the way that I draw a face, and this kind of came about when I started sculpting, and I kind of... You have 8 clips already? All right. So this is what I'll break it down to. I think about the planes of the face, the different kind of areas that you aim for when you're sculpting. And I kind of lead with those, and I kind of think of them as 2 T's. So I have the area for the brow here, which is a block which leads down to the bridge of the nose, okay? And then I have the area of the cheekbones, which is here, which leads down to where the teeth is. And that's formed the majority of a skeleton for me. So I know that this area here, that's like the hole where the eyes go for a skeleton. This is like it gives me that triangular area, I don't know what you would call it. And boom, there's where your teeth are. And that is all of the information that I need to place the different things in my face. So those are the areas that I go for. My eyes go in here, my nose goes below here, my mouth goes here, the cheekbones come around the back like that, and we have the ears here. And I am good, okay? So I'm going to do that up here. I'm actually going to erase those lines just to make things nice and clear for everyone. But there's the area for the forehead, coming down to where the nose is, and it becomes a lot easier to draw and rotate the face around because you're just thinking about those T's as you rotate them around. The end of that T becomes the cheekbone, and you know, there we go, we have our little skull, and we can kind of, you know, indicate the areas where the eyes and the nose and the mouth go, and we're looking good, okay? It's all about finding these different shorthand methods that suit you, that you enjoy doing, that you relate to the most, okay? What's up, Ron? You can recognize Magneto? You think it's Magneto? Will I give him a little skull? There we go, our little helmet. Actually, Magneto's helmet is one of the things that I did, that I sculpted, which was quite enjoyable to do. Posture check. Never done that one before. The Blender Guru on YouTube, yeah, his videos are amazing. Oh, the skeleton. You want me to get a posture check for him? Oh, down below. Magneto helmet is pretty class, but it does the same thing. Like his helmet is designed around hitting certain points on the face, certain landmarks, for the artist to know where to put those different things in. What's up, Exo? How are you? It's all right, Rowan. Okay, so we're building our character up. We've blocked out the shapes of the character. The next stage that I usually do is I'll start drawing in the anatomy, okay? This is the area then that's all about study, practice. There's no kind of short form way of doing this, but because we've drawn our character with nice simple shapes, this has allowed us to draw something without thinking about our own reservations that we have with anatomical learning, okay? For example, when you start drawing something thinking about the muscles first, you'll always see people will default to drawing the same kind of pose that they always do. You know, you'll see artists that will always draw a face or a figure from the front. They'll always draw it from the exact size. When you think of something as simple like this, you free your mind of those fears that you have with anatomy, and you're breaking it down to a simple thing to do. Now we need to learn how to put these muscles, on top of what we have here. Okay, what's up, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's what we're going to do here. So I pretty much, I understand the relationships of a lot of these muscles, where they're going to go from practice. But, if there might be certain bits I'm not 100% sure of, and that's when I'll go in and I'll study and I'll figure out and I'll learn it. I have this handy little fella beside me. I'll have to cover him up for decency wise. This is called an écorché. I think that's how you pronounce it. I believe that's French. So where basically they've taken the skin off the model so you can just see all of the muscles. Things like these are very, very handy. Like I have loads of reference photos of bodybuilders and things like that will help me kind of figure out, how to draw certain muscles in certain ways, like with hands up, hands down. There's loads of great resources around the web. So the more stuff like that you have, the better, to be honest with you. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to fully flesh out the anatomic drawing. It means without skin. Wow. Well, it's very, very literal then. I'm going to draw this in black, just so it's easy for all of you to see. I understand what I'm going to be drawing here to a point. I understand the muscles. Now, I might want to have like a big bulging muscle here, okay, as that kind of locks in. But I want to think about this as well, okay? If I start doing muscles that bulge out like that again, I want to think of this overall shape to keep that movement and stop my piece from getting stiff. So I'm going to, even though it's not perfectly right, instead of having the muscle bulge out, I'm going to think of that curve as it goes around, just to kind of to keep those shapes the way that I want them. Maybe bring it out a bit more. Okay, thinking of those muscles as they work around, thinking of them as they form around the cylinders that I've made, so that hopefully I'll keep that kind of a feeling to my figure. Now, I'm not drawing a character that has he's wearing a coat, so I'm not super thinking about the actual muscles or how they should actually work, but I just want to generally flesh out the character, thinking about the different kind of areas that the muscles kind of go around here as they do. You're not going to see any of them really, except for the face, I guess. But it's really, really good to know where these muscles are. And it's a really, really good kind of way of showing different things. Okay, what's up, Tiger B? There's an app called Handy that's good for hand ref. Yeah, then there's also your hands. There is indeed. And these are this is the penciling stage of your comic. This is when it's totally okay to make your mistakes and to kind of figure things out along the way as you start to do them, okay? It's all right if we make mistakes, if we make different muscle mistakes. This is the part where you want to do it. When you're committing to your ink phase, you want to have all of the information that you need at hand, okay? So, I'm just putting in the general shape of the muscles, just fleshing out our figure a little bit more, knowing that it's all going to be underneath some lovely, nice pants, and he's actually going to be wearing a big fisherman's coat. It's a disguise, spoiler. Sorry, guy, I'm only messing. You know what? And that's enough for me. That's plenty information now to help me figure out, where to put the different areas of the costume and things like that. So I'm going to press boop, and I'm going to turn it to blue, and we're going to start drawing over that now. How often do I ask my wife to take reference pictures of me? If you ever see a comic book artist on their deathbed, the one thing they'll ask you to do is erase their reference folder, which is just thousands and thousands of pictures of them in unflattering poses, trying to jump around the house like Spider-Man or whatever artist it is that they were drawing. So I actually have, I just use my phone on a timer, to be honest with you. but it's a very, very common thing amongst artists for sure. It's a nightclub. I would not be happy. I wouldn't put it past all of you to find a way into those folders, but no one wants to see that. And it's funny, like I have those folders dating back to like my first professional work of like me posing with swords and things like that. And you just see yourself gradually getting older over the years. The trick to Spider-Man Ivy, believe it or not, is he's so flexible, is to just think about each limb individually. So if you design your pose like this first, and I'll take reference of like my hand, whatever way the hand is, and instead of trying to make the full pose with those legs, kind of going as much as I can. Is Nightbot automatic? Is it? Jeez, I'm going to be out of tea before I know it. So I have some funny photos of like my friends when I worked on different books. Like there are different villains and different comics that I've done, and one of them was a sniper rifle on top of the roof, and it's actually him on top of our couch in the house that we rented, holding the funnel of a Hoover like a sniper rifle. Some people are models, Squiddy. Definitely, it's part of the process. It's all about you getting all of the information that you need as an artist to be able to you value posture and hydration. Very true. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, it's a bit of a beast, the PC. It should allow me to do plenty streaming going forward, which is great. Okay. I think it's time to start drawing in I actually do an awful lot of work for Everton, and I have all of my pals who work at Everton texting me at the moment while the goals are going in. This is a match live. I do a lot of sports work as well. Anyway, enough of that. So I'm going to create the clothes layer. I'm going to start drawing in the different types of clothing that I want to have on here over the course of the piece. Okay. I actually want to bring up a reference folder. I have a great app for reference. It's called PureRef, and basically it's just a free app. You can donate to them if you want, where you can like paste all of your reference photos if you want to. Why is that stuck? There we go. Where you can paste all of your reference photos wherever you want, just to kind of have them in front of you. It's a nice way to see it. You like the blue detail? Yeah, I can't remember what the default one was that I switched it, so I could be really, really sneaky. Ooh, I always have two. I bought a second one 10 years ago, thinking I better in case I lose it, and I have never lost my pen in all that time, which I can't believe, which is pretty crazy. Anyway. Let's start putting in the details of the coat. Now this coat is a big heavy coat that's kind of disguising all of the stuff. He's kind of, if we go through the story, okay, we have two people entering into this mansion using different methods. They're the lead of the story, Sebastian and Maya. So Maya has gone in there undercover as a date, trying to uncover something that this kind of douchey billionaire has. Can I say that? Is that a swear in America? I have no idea. I apologize. So she's going in. She's getting a tour of the place from him. I love visual storytelling where you're taken on an adventure. Tomorrow I lose the pens. So as you can see, if we follow the story, she goes in through this door. Then I love pages with like steps and different layers. These are the kind of pages that make the reader follow through and feel like they're kind of going on an adventure when they're actually reading these pages. And, they're going to come down these steps as they read the panels, as they kind of go along. Obviously, this guy is going to be talking and explaining all of the stuff that are on the different tablets and scrolls and stuff like this as we go down. Shout outs to my chat, by the way, which helped me find these ancient symbols, which I could put on the thing, which is very, very handy when you're doing something live. So there we go. So it follows it all the ways down through here. through his crazy underground layer of cloned animals up to a fireplace, and she's going to ask him, does he have a certain coin, which is what they're ultimately after. Whereas our character here, Sebastian, is the plan B, who's going to be going in with the brute force method. So that's what we're going to be doing here. He kind of comes up, as we saw, this place is by the sea. So he's dressed up kind of as a local kind of fisherman, which suits me because I'm from a little fishing village. This is Sebastian. Spoilers, yeah. So he's wearing basically a nice kind of a thick coat, which I took plenty of reference photos of, which are some of my better reference photos. Just I want to see what way the folds flow. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm looking up at the piece that I have here, and I'm just kind of indicating where I want to put those nice folds, thinking of, you know, both of the layers that we've done beforehand, and just adding in these nice little details that are necessary for the coat. So stuff that, like, you never really know that was there, to be honest with you. It's something that's done an awful lot more in 3D artwork, and it's not done enough in 2D artwork, where the artist will talk about the gathering reference phase. You know, when you see, you know, it's impossible to know the way that everything looks like. Like, I would never thought of putting a double zip in a coat, which I learned from looking at coats, you know. When you're drawing interiors of castles, you know, if without reference, it might just be a bunch of bricks on a wall, but with reference you start to realize all the little cool details that you need to kind of put in there. So I definitely encourage that phase all the ways throughout it. Okay. Look at that, Nightbot. Thank you very much. We have our own save emote, which is super, super important. I like that one. I like that one a lot. What's up, Fiddy? How are you? Okay, so let's keep on going. Fiddy has been doing some amazing. Would you find castle reference through Google? Yeah, you can. You need to be careful. You know, you don't have an awful lot of time. You need to watch out when you're gathering your reference to make sure that it kind of becomes that it's your, you know, the image still stays your own. Comics is let me just restart Clip Studio. Comics is difficult. You don't have a lot of time, but you want to make sure you're drawing your castle, not someone else's. So okay, so let's keep on going. I'm looking for my reference of the actual backpack I designed, which is here. Okay, perfect. Keep things in line with the characters that we have made ourselves for the book. So reference. It's cool. Thanks, Tiger B. Tiger B's my hype man. The London background is actually a few pages later in the book, and it is a flashback, Gary. So this is the thing, like, it's an interesting storytelling experience drawing something live like this in front of everyone else. But I really don't think it's going to take from the story doing that. I think it's just going to add to the experience. So when you're finally in your comic book shop and you see Hell to Pay on the stands, you know, you're going to feel like you were there when you were actually doing it, which is cool. So hopefully that translates all the ways through. And we get to see a lot of people picking up this book when it comes out in June. So the balcony shot, yeah. I'm going to take this all the ways to this pencil, the end of this pencil stage, and then I'm going to show you some of the work that we've worked on, okay? So let me know, what have you all been up to today? Who has been drawing? If so, what have you been drawing? How is it coming together? I want to know. As I sit down and figure out the folds. Don't ever, I'll say this again, don't ever be afraid about making mistakes. I'm making a couple of mistakes here that I'm going to go back now and knock out. It's all part of that process. You drew 12 skulls? Oh, nice. I think I have a feeling of what that could be doing. It's gritty. Page a day. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, typically I do work at the rate of a page a day. When you're working on comics, that's kind of what you got to aim for. Your book comes out every 4 weeks. Comics are typically 20 pages long. So that's kind of the general rule of thumb over the course of an issue, is that you have like, you got to be hitting a page a day. So you made a big mistake. Oh, when you've saved your file as a TIFF. You might make more coffee and start sketching. Please do. It's always awesome when other people are drawing along. That's what I like about Twitch. It feels like an open studio. You know what I mean? It feels like a nice collaborative effort. It's really, really nice when people are drawing along and posting the process of the stuff that they're doing. It's really, really cool. Is this a mini-series? We have long plans for it, Gary. Now, it might be broken up. You know, we might do different kind of 6-issue segments, but we have long plans for it. You did some light sketches today, some anatomy practice, and some doodle on an old personal character that from your childhood. Awesome, Twisted Zephyr. That's good to hear. One of my favorite things, like how about, yeah, that's actually a good analogy, Gary. One of my favorite things about anatomy is that you genuinely never master it. There's always something to learn, and it just keeps it interesting all of the time. It really, really does. He's on the phone to Maya here. Oh, Kev coming with my own save emote. All right, okay. That is enough information for me. That's all I need. I'm gonna take this to, I know that's quite messy. Now I can get rid of the anatomy layer because I've drawn everything over it. And everything that I need for here is to go on to my ink stage. And this is where I guess working digitally can save a little bit of time, because if I make a mistake, obviously I can erase it. Whereas if you're working traditionally in comics, which I've drawn hundreds of pages traditionally, you need to kind of make sure that you're putting that ink line down in the exact right place, you know. Deadly to practice more anatomy. Everybody does Deadly Feet. It's a never-ending quest, which is awesome. Yeah, I have everything on different layers, so I can just turn them on and off as I need to. Chatting in the Wacom chat feels like being alone, being in someone else's home. Oh, there you go, Nimisar. That's lovely. Okay. So, let me talk you through some of my work. Shall we do that? I can show you some recent covers, if you'd like. Let's look at everything that I've done in 2020. Oh, geez, I nearly opened that Star Wars one. So this is a Venom cover, which is based on a Mark Bagley cover. Actually, it's kind of a reproduction of it, which was awesome to do. Please remove your shoes before entering. Sure, no problem, Twisted Zephyr. So this one was fun to do. I love kind of getting in there, putting in those small details when you're working on Venom, especially in like a really, really big piece. Most of my covers now are actually colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, who will be streaming pretty soon too. Future full back tattoo. Wow, that would be some detail to get on there. This is a Shang-Chi cover. So really, really good fun to do. This one is actually a mix of traditional and digital. What I finally did, basically, whenever I do a cover that I want to sell, I'll draw it digitally first, and I'll print it out in blue line and ink over it. So, and then this pattern was added in afterwards. But I might add that into the original if it ever goes up for sale. This Ghost Rider cover just came out 2 or 3 days ago. I showed this earlier on my own stream. It's pretty rad. Do I think drawing digitally encourages more detail over traditional? So one of the key things, hey Kenny, one of the key things is that when you're working digitally is you need to understand that you can zoom in and work a detail that won't be seen in print. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. First, it's to zoom out and look at your page overall. Second of all is to keep your pen sizes consistent the whole ways through. So I don't make my pen size smaller as I zoom in. So see this circle is getting bigger as we zoom in? That basically means the pen size is staying the same size. So that like, and because I won't make that pen size smaller, you know, I won't be coming in here. I'll just show you, for example, I won't be coming in here and like putting like really small details that won't be seen. I'll be drawing with the same pen pressure that I normally do, the same thick to thin stuff. Okay. So I found that that's been the key. Now, originally when I started out, I was making that mistake. It's not something that happens anymore because I'm used to that. Mainly because of the pen keeps you in check, which is quite handy. All right, let's look at some more covers. Would you like to see some Star Wars or Spider-Man? First one that comes up wins. Star Wars. Okay, cool. Big Star Wars fan. I've gotten to do a ton of Star Wars stuff. So this was Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is an amazing project where I worked on basically the comic book that was like set in Batuu, which is that theme park that now exists. And it was a really crazy experience because I was drawing an environment that didn't exist physically. It was just there in concept art, which was something that I eventually went and I was able to visit. So like how many comic book artists in the history of comics have drawn an environment that didn't exist that they would one day be able to walk around? I don't think it's ever happened. And I was very conscious of getting it right because I knew that people would be walking around holding this comic. And like I've obviously was brought over there for the opening of the park, and they have like this comic is massively, you know, easy to get over there. It's always at the front of the stands, and so kids are walking around Galaxy's Edge and they're reading the comic book. And people were literally, the day I was there, the opening of the park, people were literally like holding up this first page, standing at this point, you know, checking to like looking at the background details and seeing if they were all there. So this was an example of where I built a 3D model of the park. So you can see it best in this overview here. And I fleshed out the areas of the different buildings. Now, it wasn't in immense detail, but it helped me piece everything where it was. And you're able to use that then as the kind of the guideline with your backgrounds in your panel. But it was an amazing experience. I was brought over for the opening. I got to run around the park. I had the park to myself for a few days. I could put architects everywhere. I wish. No, but you see, I didn't design anything. They were all designed by the amazing. It was a cool project because not only was I working with Marvel and Lucasfilm, but I was also working with the super talented Walt Disney Imagineers, whose job is to create those amazing theme parks. So this is actually a separate project. This is a Star Wars book that I did the cover to, where you can see these three characters here. These are the three characters that I got to design for. Actually, I'll show you them clearer here in this piece for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And they are, it's always hard for me to find this cover for some reason. Where are you? Where are you, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Here you are. So, you know, one of the really, really cool things about these projects is you get to create characters that are like legitimately full-on part of the Star Wars lore. You would never know, like, who's to say these three people won't just walk onto the set of The Mandalorian, you know? It's amazing. Cheers, Gary. So, you know, we got to create these three characters. They're now part of that Star Wars world. Just fun stuff. So, okay. do I have more Star Wars stuff here? I don't. I can show you the last book that I did in Star Wars was Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren. I'll show you some pages from that. Into my Star Wars folder, into my Kylo Ren folder. So this was an amazing project. Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren told the story of how Ben Solo became Kylo Ren. And it came out just before The Rise of Skywalker, and it was a massive responsibility to bring this character to life. It really was not to life, but to tell so much of the character's story, explain why he is the way he is, and it kind of answered an awful lot of questions of people. We got to create some cool characters as well. This is Ren. He was the original leader of the Knights of Ren, and this is an example of my day-to-day stuff again, where I'm telling a story over the course of 5 sequential pages. So here we get to see the Knights of Ren in action. Like this is a perfect example of a panel that just, you really got to put in the hours. There's so much going on here. You look way off in the background. We have Ren talking to these 2 characters here. Knights of Ren, difficult to draw, but fun to draw. Definitely fun. You really, when you're working on Star Wars, you want to pay respect to the amazing designs that were done. You wanted more of the Knights of Ren? Yeah, well, they're in this comic big time. So they really are. And I've already seen people cosplaying this character, people making up mock action figures, stuff like that. It's really cool when you kind of get to be part of that kind of a lore and tell stories within those worlds. So again, loads and loads of stuff. There they are. They're pretty tough dudes. The Knights. All right. With that, let's get back to drawing. We can talk about some other stuff later. That's why you read the Expanded Universe, the Throne series, your top fave. You mean like the original one, Twisted Zephyr? Great books. Really excited to see all of the Star Wars stuff that's happening at the moment. I'm actually gonna, as we kind of go along, I'm gonna delete some of the blue to make things clear for myself. Now, so working digitally, like I was saying, I can kind of go and put down some of my final lines now. I can make mistakes, which is nice. I can kind of come on in here and draw things at my own kind of pace without worrying that if I make a mistake that I need to kind of get rid of it. So definitely one of the massive advantages of working digitally, and that's why, unfortunately for inkers, there seems to be less room for them in the industry now, where a lot of us do both of those roles. Any upcoming comics to go along with the new raft of Star Wars TV and movies that were announced? Well, they have announced a Mando comic, and that's all. I would love to draw an Obi-Wan comic. I'm a massive fan of Obi-Wan. So, who knows? It's been a strange year in terms of everything that's kind of gone on. Publishing is finding its feet around the world again. So like there hasn't been any big announcements this year in terms of comics really, but those shows have only just been announced as well, you know what I mean? So who's to say there won't be comic books of them? I would love that, and I will fight any comic book artist to get my hands on that. That Obi-Wan one, he's my favorite Jedi for sure. Random question, but what way did I set up the page before starting to draw on them? Is this the same size if I draw traditionally? Yes, same size. I have a template. So I have a template that I use, which essentially is based on that. You have your areas that are like, it's not just your 11 by 17, like you have the areas inside that then that are kind of what's called print safe and what isn't print safe, and they're the different areas that you can kind of draw on and not draw on. There's areas then that where you can have art, but you shouldn't have speech bubbles and stuff like that. So I should really share that stuff and put it up on the Discord. Might not be a bad idea. Keep those questions coming too. While you have me on here, it's it's never a problem. I'll help share. I'm all about kind of demystifying the process as much as I can. So. Okay. Yeah, will do indeed. Now remember, I'm drawing this, but I have so much stuff figured out beforehand. I have tons of reference right here in front of me. I know what I'm doing. Don't feel like you need to be able to sit down and to be able to draw something straight away. A lot of the hard work, the reference gathering, like I was saying, this is actually my second time drawing the pose. I came back here to do it for live on stream. It doesn't come as naturally and as fast always. So, there's a lot more kind of mistakes in figuring out stages as well. Hey, Arch, sketchy. 1 second. Absolutely, better late than never. So I'm inking. I'm thinking a lot here about my line weights, my confidence of line. When I went over to the process of me getting my job for comics, would have been a lot of going to different conventions, showing my portfolio around. You definitely need a thick neck when you're doing that. I had years and years of my stuff being rejected, not being good enough, and it wasn't. I had so much to learn. But drawing, like I always say, is something that, the more you practice, the better you get. And I knew that, like, if I worked hard enough, I would essentially get there. And I guess I did, but like I would go to those conventions, I would be show my work to as many publishers as I could and get little bits of advice and whatever. But a lot of the artists would talk to me about my confidence of my line and how I'm using my different line strokes and line weights and things like that. So I'm kind of doing that as I kind of go along here. But one of the things that I do, one of the key things that I do is this. So if I have a sphere like this, okay, and it's just one singular line weight, then it's a bit boring if your light's going from here. Now, if you think of that as a light source and you think of your shadow here and the bright light there, that's something that we can do to give it form. But you can do that with your line weight as well. Have your line weight thicker away from the light source, that nice thick to thin kind of a feeling. And then if it's the outside of a piece, then you can make it even thicker so that you can see a piece that's in front of another piece. This one is in the background, this one is in the foreground, okay? And I'm doing that all the ways along. Let's hope that when I'm drawing this comic or when it gets published that some of my tutorials haven't like crept into the side of it. That would be kind of hilarious. So see the way like that line is a bit thicker underneath the nose? That kind of a way, thicker, a bit thicker here, thicker under the jaw. It's just those little things that really add to the confidence in your line. And like you have so much control over it, over your line, like nice thin to thick lines. You can do so much of this kind of stuff all the ways you kind of go along, okay? It'd be an Easter egg? Yeah, I suppose. Of all of the books where a tutorial piece sneaks into it by mistake, this would be the one where people would be like, oh cool, he was teaching someone how to do something there, so we'll let that one slide. Alright, I'm going to use a different brush here. This is the sand brush. I actually did this earlier on my own stream. To basically use a texture to draw in that kind of stubble that you'll have for the head as it's shaved at the side, which is all the rage here in Europe. I don't know if it's the same in America. Well, mine is a bit messy as always. Hey, Cartoon Katie, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So that's what I'm doing here, putting in a little bit of that just to give me a nice little texture for the hair there. And then the bottom half of the character, he's got lots of stubble, which I think spend a lot of time doing. I'm just going to indicate a little bit of it and get back to actually inking our figure to do as much of that as we can, okay? So I'm just going to indicate the stubble line and I'll come back later. I just think it's a little bit, if I'm trying to do as much tutorial stuff as I can here, I'm not going to sit down and just draw loads of bits of stubble. I haven't hit save lately, Nightbot. Thank you so much. Nightbot, I need to get one of your buddies from my own thing to tell me to do that. I'm learning about streaming all the time. Although Kev usually does that for me in the stream, to be fair. Okay. Most important part, the face. He's kind of looking off to the side. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of a pupil in there. I kind of like it not being there. Well, that's a bit too Batman. I'll put in a little bit. Put in a little bit. So, it's all the same bot. The cartoon crew. Right, we're 1 hour in. I'm actually not sure how long I'm allowed to go for, but I'll stay drawing for a good while anyway. Time flies when you're drawing, I find. I don't know about you. You always want to have more forever draws forever. Cool. I very confidently didn't put up a Be Right Back screen because I rarely use one. And of course, now I feel like I'm going to need one over the course of the hour. We'll figure something out. It's because Nightbot has been making me hydrate the whole time. I can actually do it here. Oh no, it would come up slowly. Let's see. Okay, let me get my reference. That's what I'm doing to the side here. Every once in a while I'm looking at different kind of reference pieces that I have. I did everything else. I was inspired by Cartoon Katie and even like adjusted their stream starting soon video on the whole lot. And then the easiest one to do is just put up that little picture for Be Right Back. These gloves aren't very fisherman, but that's alright. Well, actually, that's not true. You'd probably wear something like that on a boat. So for those of you that don't know me on here, one of my first ever streams, I actually had to run away and leave the stream. It doesn't happen that much this year because people aren't out on the water as much, but I'm a member of the RNLI here, which is like a local lifeboat, which helps like you know, people that need to be rescued in the sea or whatever. I'm from a little fishing village, and I guess we've got gloves like that. That's what made me think of that now. So we'll get away with it here. Foals, fun to draw when you learn the different relationship between the folds, how they create those different shadows that they have themselves. Reference massively key for folds. The people that draw the best suits in comics are the people that go off and like look at the folds and the way that suits actually work. You drew 18 skulls, Thermoda. Wow. Pad Thai or curry for dinner? Ooh. Well, I would be jealous. We don't have any access to Pad Thai in the pandemic, Tara, so have a Pad Thai for me. But I get often mocked because I'm in the paper a lot here for the comics and stuff that I do with Spider-Man and stuff. And I try not to really talk about the Arnolite too much unless they ask me to tweet about it or whatever. And then one day we were out rescuing believe it or not, a dolphin. And I was the one tasked to go into the water to like literally swim with the dolphin, turn it around. He basically swam into an over-flooded area that was going to dry out, and it would have been impossible for him to find his own way out. And as I was swimming along with the dolphin, literally, like while I was walking with the dolphin, next thing the dolphin starts swimming when I got deep enough, and I was floating along as this dolphin was kind of going along. And next thing I looked over, and there was a press photographer with a long lens. So my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather have saved like hundreds and hundreds of lives in the lifeboat, and I'm the one that saved the dolphin and ended up in the newspaper. With the rest of the team, of course. Sketchy. Was it your dinner? Reminds me of those scenes that I always see in movies where people are eating they pick their lobster. They pick their lobster out to be eaten. It always happens in movies. I have never seen that at a restaurant in real life. Maybe I don't eat in fancy restaurants. That's alright too. Okay, where's my reference of my bag again? So Wacom, are people in the chat allowed to tell us about their own projects? Can they self-promote? Tell us what kind of comics and stuff that they're creating. Let me ask you first, and maybe we can kind of chat about it with people that are on here, which would be cool. Assuming it's a creative project, of course. Absolutely awesome. Right, so who's doing what? What kind of stuff are you creating art-wise? Let us know, and I'd love to talk about it for a little bit while we draw this, because now I'm down. I've done all of the figuring out part. The tutorial stage kind of slows down for this, and this is all about me getting down and dirty and inking, you know. So you did a digital blurry painting, Kevin, or we'll call you by your stage name here, Cartoony. Tell us about the painting. Like, did you learn any new techniques doing it? Was it like an exercise? Was it just something that you wanted to do for fun? They talk about there's this 10,000 hours thing for like mastering your craft, but really it's just about focused learning. If you do something with purpose, if you're like, right, I'm going to do this painting because I want to practice how to do this or that or whatever, that's when you really can advance your technique. So plotting through your book. Tell us about your book, Deadly Feet. Sketchy, you're creating tears, sweat and heartache using a pencil until your new wagon arrives. What's your new wagon? Your new Wacom. And then you're inking and coloring. So Sketchy, so you are someone that I know from our own Discord that pretty much has just worked exclusively traditionally. So it's going to be really interesting to seeing you switch over to digital for sure. Ah, I knew I had something wrong with my reference. This stuff is important, you know. You gotta keep those costumes right. That's when you get those angry tweets. Shading was a big one. You really wanted to practice shading and realistic drawing. Cool. What did you do it with? What programs did you use? I've done this wrong again, have I? I have. It's interior piece. So the shadows are over the other side. Yeah. Wait, what? No, it's not. It's an exterior piece. Jeez. And it's got its own... Ah, yeah. There we go. I had it right the first time with my inks or my pencils. You normally call someone a trader for that? Oh, traitor. Yep. Literally doing a page of only backgrounds. Yeah. You gotta get those backgrounds in. I spend as much time working on backgrounds as I do on like the figure work for comics. With comics, you really do need to be able to draw everything. There's no cutting corners. That's why reference is so important. So Sketchy, for those in the chat, has just gotten a new knee, so he's home from work. So he's spending the time learning how to digital ink. How cool is that? Okay, let's get back to my reference of the coat. Here. We'll go through some of the other work that I've done now in a minute. I'll definitely show you some like published Spidey stuff for sure. But we're in tutorial mode. I'm here to be guided. So once we have Sebastian drawn here, if there's anything in particular that you want me to show you, let's use now to like be a good opportunity to do stuff like that, okay? Because the longer I draw, the more I get lost into the piece. So it's your job to kind of keep me on the straight and narrow and keep me kind of drawing stuff that you want me to draw forward as well. And that's the same to you, Wacom Experience. If you want me to talk about anything else in particular, let me know. I know I've taken over, but still your show. Loving all of it? Cool. Thank you. These are awkward little buckles for the coat. I need to make sure they read correctly as that. Sometimes you draw something from reference and doesn't end up making any sense. It doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like. So I need to watch that. So even though I know that's what they are, because essentially these are buckles that are on my coat that I use for reference. I need to make sure it works out okay. But to be honest with you then, at the end of the day, they're just going to be like a small little thing. It's not going to matter too much. Working on Rocket's coats and buckles. Excellent. You're colouring the piece, aren't you, Tara? So Tara, you're another person that has just jumped over from traditional to digital because you want to learn how to colour comics. Pretty much all comic books are coloured traditionally now. Or, sorry, digitally. It used to be the case, believe it or not, that when they were colouring comics, they would like literally have to write down a key number for each color, that marker that was used, which is insane. I can't imagine how they did that kind of stuff back then. Is it your first time actually doing digital stuff, Tara? Out of curiosity. By the way, if you're here from me or whatever, please make sure you give the gang at Wacom a follow. Because I'll be doing some more stuff with them in the future. At the very, very least. But there's also like some other awesome artists that are appearing on here as well. And there's a lovely variety to everything that they do too. The Experience Center is basically a physical store in Portland. Portland, right? Did I get that right? Where you kind of come in and you can use the products and you can kind of do, you know, in-person tutorials and stuff. And obviously that ain't easy to do this year. So hence the move to online. I got it, cool. And Portland is also the home of Image Comics. So I'm sure I'll be there at some stage. Angle of that next a little off. How are we looking? Head might be a little bit too big. I'm going to draw a little bit more and see. Always a good tip, mirror image your piece to see. It might just be that like I have the neck nice and chunky, which I don't mind either. I like a nice chunky neck from. Yeah, it's a backpack, but it's a tight backpack. You'll see more. He actually just has a couple of weapons in there. Scitech. Are there cities with the same name in America? No way. So was one named after the so many? No way. Well, I know a lot of them are named after like places in Europe first of all. Hey, I guess it's a big place. You run out of names. You're finding it slower than traditional right now, but you're learning shortcuts. Yeah, it won't take long. There's a learning curve with anything new, you know, whether it's a new program, like I know so many people that have switched over from, you know, yeah, let's say I'm switching over from 3D Studio Max to Blender, and it's like it feels so slow, and you've got to get through this kind of a wall. But once you get through that wall, you're flying. What's up, Todd? Yes, I'm using Clip Studio. Todd, Paris, Texas. Wow, the most romantic place in the world. I wonder, is there a Cork? That's the kind of the county that I'm from. County and city, Cork City. Melbourne, Florida. Hollywood, Florida. No way. No Ballycotton, I assume. Ballycotteen. Every place in Ireland has two names. It has the name Oscuilga, the Irish version of it, and the English. There's a Cork, New York. Really? No way. I suppose that makes sense. Once you figure out the shortcuts without Hander, you're working how to use Clip Studio Paint. Yeah, don't forget to ask me questions. You know, that's never a problem. If there's something that you're not sure how it works in Clip, I probably know how to do it, or if I don't, I'll be able to figure out how. Okay, so that's what I'm here for. I wish when I was learning Clip that there was someone. I guess streaming didn't exist. Or when I was trying to break into comics, it only kind of would boggle my mind that you could watch people do it live, I guess. Oh! We need mods. My usual mods are looking at it, going, what do we do? No, Clip Studio wasn't the first. I used Photoshop to start off with, thinking that was the way that everybody does it. And then as soon as I tried Clip Studio, I fell in love with the feeling of it straight away. My own mods don't know what to do. That is hilarious. Did I use it as Mang Studio? Yeah, for years. Same program, different name. I think it was just like a distribution thing or something. Neither of them really make sense as names, to be honest with you. You went full mob mode. Just a matter of practice? Yeah, definitely Deadly Feet, for sure. All right, we are getting there, aren't we? I'm going to do a posture check instead of a hydrate. I just screwed you out of 100 points there, Squiddytron. Tara. I'll do 2 posture checks. There we go. Now I should do that in my own one. That actually feels really good. I'm drawing a lot today. Okay. Tracing over the pencils you have from traditional is definitely helping with practicing. Well, that's your inking stage. You know, tracing is the wrong word. Like there's so much that you can bring to your pencil line when you're doing that inking stage. Deadly Feet. Gotta conserve space. I mean, you know, these guys always have speech bubbles. He can always be saying BRB. So stretching for a second, then going back to slouch. Am I slouching? No way. My back usually holds up pretty good, thankfully. Yeah, I actually prefer it than an actual screen, Katie, because it feels like you're not going to be away for as long or something like that. I don't know. Subconsciously, I feel like that's the case. So, I keep losing my reference here. There we go. Much better. Your brain is tired of attempting to draw. Well, that's all right. You know, you need your rest as well. I'm a Saturn. Are you drawing along with this? Any that is, we'd love to see what you do. Pretty soon now I'm going to turn off all of these sketch lines and stuff, and I'll be able to really see what I've done and kind of get in there and work on the line art and the line weights and things like that, which is fun. It's probably one of my more favorite parts of the process to do something like that. Get some of the shadows in there as well. One of the things when you're drawing comics is, so if this is your page, okay, and it's all white, someone's eye doesn't know where to look. If it's all black, someone doesn't know where to look. If it's 50-50, they don't know where to look. But if you have the balance 70-30, your eye automatically goes in here. So it makes this page more visually interesting straight away. It works the other way around as well. Your eye goes straight to here. So you need to have that nice balance of blacks and whites when you're inking a page. You need to be thinking of that kind of stuff. And it's hard for me to see that now with all of these sketch lines when I'm going to get rid of them. You hate the moment when you turn off the sketch there. Why is that, Gary? Composition is right. There's a great Frank Frazetta saying as well that like you put the time into the areas that the people will be looking at the most too, and that's the face. So you know, I'm not gonna like not put in the important details or whatever, but like you need to spend your time wisely when you're working on comics, and like the face is the most important point. You know, I don't need to be worried too much about these, you know, pants shadows and wrinkles, folds, you know, at this stage. So you think your inks are bad, Gary? No way. I think they're great. And anything that you feel like you're not happy with, just practice, and I promise you'll get way, way, way better at them. I think your inks are really good. The amount of detail and feathering and stuff that you do is huge, so it's going to take you time when you're doing it. He's actually only supposed to have 3 of these, so I'll spread them out a bit. In the comic book industry, there's people that analyze everything. Oh, yeah. True. That happens, but you know, you'll find that you'll be drawn to the face more than you realize. So what are we? Oh my god, we're an hour and a half in. Time flies when you're drawing and talking. Hey Corn Dog, how are you? Finding time to sit down at work and get to work. Oh, cool, good. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming on over to the Wacom Center Experiences stream. You've heard people only spend an average of 40 seconds on reading a page. That can happen. But you're not, like, you want to be drawing for the person who studies your art. You know, you don't want to think that no one is looking at your stuff, because somebody is, and someone is out there and they're like, wow, that looks really, really cool. And they're sitting down and they're learning from it. Like I worked on Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, and like that soul ended up selling over 1 million copies, you know. So millions of people have looked at my art. So you have to assume that some of the people kind of want to learn, and like even though you're saying that some people might only spend 40 seconds looking at a page, think of the accumulated amount of time that people will spend looking at it. I've actually never really thought about it like that millions have looked at it, but they do, you know. And it's for yourself as well. So much of art is, you know, I kind of prefer to try to please myself, try to like feel like I'm always learning and moving forward, and if that happens, then I enjoy it more. So I kind of less think about, you know, the reader at times than myself, which might sound like a selfish thing, I guess, whatever, but it's not. It's you know, art can be a personal journey with your learning that other people, you know, get to observe and watch and enjoy along with what you create. It just depends what the reader's into as well. I remember seeing a friend of mine reading Invincible like that. He was just turning the pages like that. You could see him just reading the bubbles. And I was like, breathe it in. Take your time. Enjoy the art. Oh. But every reader is there for a different reason. Do I think that there's still house styles for the big two? It's like, no. Now that said, like, you know, there are artists in there that fit those roles, but like the type of art is very diverse now, which is lovely. There's room for everything that's there. Like I like that. You know, there's the artist for Squirrel Girl needs to look different than the artist for Venom. That needs to look different for the artist for Ms. Marvel. That needs to look different for the artist for Spider-Man. You know, they all have their like different types of, you know, feelings for the types of readers that should be reading these books. So it's important. That's a good way of saying it, sketchy. Yeah, so like, and by go-to artists, like they're like, you know, like Greg Capullo is super famous, so his style kind of goes hand in hand with Batman, or Jim Lee's like the defining Batman artist of, let's say, the last 20 years. So you'll have a lot of artists on Batman that are very, very inspired by Jim. So let's say, you know, Jason Fabok, whose stuff is amazing on its own or whatever, but you can see he loves that like really powerful superhero style art, which is cool, you know. But that doesn't mean that that character and tends to be owned by those kind of artists, because even, let's say, Greg, who I just mentioned just before Jim, has a drastically different style than what anyone would have really thought would have worked on Batman. It's very, very cartoony, but it worked incredibly well. And then Greg worked for Spawn as well, Gary. You know, and he's drastically different from, say, Todd McFarlane, who's obviously, who we all know really well from Spawn. I don't think he should have I forgot he has kneecaps, but I don't think he should have them on at this phase. They can be in his bag, and it could be part of his getting ready phase. So, we're getting there. We're getting there. Don't take away his kneecaps. I don't think he'd look like a fisherman with the kneecaps on. The gloves are okay. The big boots are okay. The knee pads, too tactical, I think. Both of them go through a costume change at the start. So Scotty Young, yeah, there you go. Scotty Young, total different type of style. Good point. Deadly Feet, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate that. That feels wrong for the angle of the phone. Phones, ironically, have gotten so much easier to draw over the course of my career. Think about drawing a Nokia compared to drawing a new iPhone. A new iPhone is just a rectangle. There's something you don't think about every day. See, I haven't plotted out this hand enough. Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to avoid this hand going near here, to be honest with you, is what's happening to me now. Oh my god, I have to name my layer. No way. Inks. I've literally never done this on stream. Inks. There you go. You happy now, Nightbot? Oh my god, yeah, drawing a BlackBerry. I was probably the only Irish person with a BlackBerry because I was dating an American girl for a while, and I had to use BlackBerry Messenger or whatever that was called. I don't even know what it was called. Yeah, long time ago. That wasn't Nightbot, that was Channel Points. Who did that? Tormodo. Naming layers, crazy. BlackBerry, they had an internet button? Wow. Oh my god. Imagine if you were like handed one and you were told, right, get from one side of this city that you don't know to the other side. I'm gonna need to come back to this hand. It's not flowing for me. Because I want to avoid, I know what it is. Tracks in the snow. I've seen the Gruffalo so many times with my kid over the last little while. The hair needs to be pushed back. So that's what I knew I was missing something from what I had originally thought of. And then the fingers can slowly disappear behind the hair. Yeah, there we go. I used to always name every single layer. You were, is that a good time? Like, there's definitely a debate, you know. I'm probably bad for not naming them. Over the course of your drawing, if you're searching for layers, I guess, you know, it's good to have them named. Definitely massively important if you're handing those layers off to somebody else to work on, which will happen a lot over the course of your career. However, me, you know, I just hold down the move button and I select whichever piece, and it selects the correct layer for me. So I'm less likely to name them these days. Sorry, Wacom. I know that's probably a bad thing to say. I'll get in trouble. Squiddy. Squiddy does some awesome... Squiddy, tell us about your comics that you do. Kick. Is that what it was, Tara? No way. I don't even remember that. It was basically WhatsApp. For selecting the different layers, Tara. So just when you're using the move key, in the tool property, there's a move object at the clicked position that I normally have on. So if I like tap the blue, it's selected the blue layer for me. If I tap the inks, it's selected the ink layer for me. So it's a handy little thing, but sometimes you can move a layer by mistake, which can be awkward. So your comics are drawn exclusively on Wacom projects. There you go. Yeah, Sketchy works inside in Pinewood Studios, but he's off work, so old Tom Cruise isn't yelling at him. It's a shame because I would have assumed it was you. With the way that you carry on these streams, I would have enjoyed that a lot. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. I feel like this arm is too thin. It is too thin. It's a big bulky coat, remember? That's better. Do, 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 do. that better? Can I come out like that? No. But this is actually isn't supposed to go like that. Looking at my ref. We're figuring things out now. Okay. It's a nice coat. Put a this random hand. Oh my god! Imagine if I left that in. That would be hilarious. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap this up. Let me get my reference of my shoes. Oh, good, because I thought he was wearing high tops. He's not. It's Maya that wears the high tops. I'm just gonna, these are probably gonna be covered by grass. So I'm just gonna outline them like that for now, and that'll do me. I think I'm gonna, let's take a break. Let's leave this like this for a second. Let's talk about some of the other work that I've done. So what have we got here? Are you drawing it, Gary? You're drawing along? That would be cool. Oh no, sorry, for the piece you already did, of course. So this was my first book with Marvel, The Fearless Defenders. This was a pretty amazing moment for me in my career. Having worked for so long to get to work for Marvel, it was always my dream. And they didn't just put me on a single issue, they put me on a full book, show and tell. Yeah. So I loved this moment. I'll never forget starting off. I was freaking out doing these pages. Absolutely freaking out. Got to create some cool new characters. So it stars Misty Knight and Valkyrie. But the heart of the book is this character, Annabelle Riggs. That's her there. She's a really, really important. No, this is Mark Brooks. Mark Brooks did some amazing covers for this book. This piece here, I always like to say that when you first see, I'm trying to stop it shining, Valkyrie in her Valkyrie outfit in Thor, they basically reference this image to have it looking like this. You remember this? Cool, Gary. That's nice. It was an amazing feeling. So many more heroes kind of popped into this. This was my first time drawing some of the main Marvel heroes. They were mannequins. Cap, Thor, Ms. Marvel, Spider-Man. I was such a Spider-Man fan. Actually, let me look at that. Yeah, geez, I draw him very, very differently now. That's funny. So it was 12 issues, of which I drew 11. They brought in a guest artist for one of them because it was a very, very different type of a story. Someone, Tara, you're coloring a Scott. We were talking about different styles. You know, look at the difference. You've got some Farscape stuff that I did sketchy? No way. That's a blast from the past. Wow, dude. You worked for Forbidden Planet? No way. Yes, this was all digital. Every single thing that I've done, apart from my first ever printed comic here for Cheese, was all digital, unless I wanted to sell the page, but I would still draw it digitally first and then draw it digitally afterwards. Yeah, Tara. So I went from there onto Spider-Man 2099. This is when we went full. Oh no. I don't have it down here. I did Superior Spider-Man. I'll open up a page from Superior Spider-Man. So I had told them that I love Spidey right around the time when so much of comics is about luck and timing. So much of comics is about luck and timing. So I told them that I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Excuse me. I just wrapped up Fearless Defenders. Spider-Man team up. This is us. and they were like, okay, we really need a Spider-Man issue done on a very, very short deadline. So I had 2 weeks to draw these 20 pages. So that was a 2-page a day, 2 weeks of drawing this. But it was my first shot at Spider-Man. It was when Spider-Man was actually Doc Ock. But that landed me... Oh, I spilled my tea on this book. I need to pick this up now again. What a disaster. Which led to Spider-Man 2099, which I drew so many issues of. Where is he? Let me get him a Spider-Man. There we go. About 48, I think, issues of Spider-Man 2099 with Peter David. And we went straight from there. That was included in, it went to the future, to Secret Wars 2099, where I got to design the Avengers of the future. So future Iron Man, future Captain America, future Hawkeye, future future Black Widow. Is that everyone that I designed? Yeah. So much fun doing all these ones. There's our future Captain America. God, I don't even remember some of these pages now. You do so much stuff. I went from Spider-Man 2099 on to Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider. There's this one. Actually, Kenny just sent me a picture of him. You picked this up. Which is the cool Spidey in the hoodie. Yo, what's up, Spider-Man? Lots of fun doing this. Ironically, I was told I was doing this job when I was in Vegas on my honeymoon, and it's all set in Las Vegas. So a bunch of that here. We have the 2 Spideys. You can see Scarlet Spider right behind me here. Yeah, it was a lot of work, Katie. You're a massive Rick Leonardi fan. Oh, cool. This one actually, so Gary taking over from Rick Leonardi, it wasn't really like I was taking over from, because there was decades between the series. This one I had to take over from Mark Bagley, who I'm a huge fan of, so that was difficult. Is Scarlet Spider still around? I don't know. Good question. I actually don't know. I'm way behind on my reading. I have all of the Spidey trades. What is my character design process like? So, good question. Trying to think what's a good example to pull up for that. Could just use... Yeah, so here... So these are 3 characters that I designed for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And when you're designing somebody for Star Wars, it's a very, very different process, because there are so many amazing artists out there that have worked on Star Wars that you can kind of pull from all of the amazing designs that they've done. So like, you know, certain belts and like this kind of stuff, like these kind of things already existed in Star Wars. This kind of a belt already exists. This kind of a bandolier already exists. You know, all that kind of stuff. It's all part of it. So you need to pay homage to all of the amazing work that all those artists already did before you. You design your own characters within that. Then, you know, you made a Scarlet Spider costume, Fiddy. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. They go from Bagley. I know, yeah, it was tough. So I guess it's different depending on the project. So for this, for Hell to Pay, you know, it was totally freed up for me, because it was these are brand new characters in a brand new series. And I just got to kind of just design the stuff that I enjoyed, which was cool. You know, obviously the character, like the things that the characters will do, you know, it's all part of it. Yeah, the costume details. So she is more like, she has this like kind of cool mythical chain where he kind of has a mythical sword. That's all like that's there in the descriptions. But like I prefer costumes that are like form fitting, because I love to draw muscles and stuff. So for both of their tops, they're kind of form fitting, so I can get to do that. with a mixture of making them a bit more tactical, I guess, with like, you know, the pouches, because there's a kind of a, as we said, an Indiana Jones kind of a vibe to this. So like they want to be bringing around lots of different stuff and all of the different explorations that they go on. And your influences, you wear them on your sleeve, and I'll do tons of different iterations of the characters. We actually did the character designs for these characters live on Twitch, actually, now that I remember it. I didn't tell anyone what it was. Let's see, do I have different iterations? I do. So, where? Maybe I don't. I remember we were drawing Sebastian live on stream, and people were saying that like certain haircuts looked better or friendlier and stuff like that. So I was able to take in the inspiration of the people on the stream, which was cool. You know, it was interesting. It's definitely doing something differently, doing it that way, from what's already there. So, all right. Maybe it wasn't exactly this drawing that we did on the stream. It must be in a different folder. Oh no, hold on. Concepts? No, not here. Okay. Not to worry. Yeah, I hope that answers it. And then I went out and got that. Not really. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same. Yeah, a lot of sketching, a lot of iterations, a lot of back and forth with the writer that's in the program, in it as well here for G's. So, okay, where's my page? Too many pages open now. I love getting to draw these characters. Okay, a lot of back and forth when you're working with Marvel. Yeah, it can be. Sometimes you can nail it straight away. You know, like those Avengers, they were happy with very fast, to be fair. The Star Wars ones that you see on the side of the screen right now, there was definitely a little bit more back and forth, but that's because it went to both Marvel and Lucasfilm. Thanks, Sketchy. Appreciate that. Something about recently, if you look at Obi-Wan in Star Wars, he's clearly just wearing Tatooine clothes, but that's what they then made into Jedi wear. It's a good point, actually. It became so iconic for us to feel that way for Jedi clothes. Yeah. Okay, let's erase everything that we had, all of those sketch layers, and let's get in here now and start. We've got it nice and clear, so I can start filling in these blacks. Bring some more black shadows in and start putting in some nice line weights and things like that as well. Super handy function in Clip Studio is that it closes the gaps, right? So, you know, with other programs, you need to have the circle full to fill it in so it doesn't spill out. But if I leave a little tiny gap here, in other programs that would spill out. In Clip Studio, it just automatically fills it in, so it's quite handy. Is there less people from artists to print with image than Marvel? I'm not 100% sure what you mean. Oh, in terms of the process. Oh man, it's worlds apart. Like, it's completely up to you. It's just, you go out, you get your project approved. So like the main team inside an Image choose which projects they greenlight, and then off you go. And it's just you're the creative team. It's your project. You completely own the rights to these characters. You have final say. Someone from Image is not going to come along and go, I'm not sure I like that belt buckle, change it, you know. So Procreate's the name of a program. You wish Procreate had that tool? Yeah. Procreate has some lovely stuff as well, though, with the way that it auto you know, circles, if that's the right way of saying that. Some lovely little features on it, but like Clip is actually bringing that kind of stuff in now as well. So I'm guessing you're big fans of Clip Studio in the Wacom Experience Center. This actually was shown to me by there's a external program that you can get called Lazy Nezumi Pro. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about things like that on here, but I'll just show you. This it won't come up on my screen, okay? But you can actually do that with this. Is where what this is going to do now, right? Is I'm gonna draw a circle, okay? Okay, I'm gonna put it to, oh no, it's the wrong one. Okay, this doesn't appear on my screen the way I have Clip Studio set up, okay? But I'm gonna draw it once first here, okay? So there's my circle, I'm gonna get rid of it. So now that's created a ruler based on my circle. So I can then, look at that. Ooh, super cool. And it's not tying me to it perfectly, it's just genuine. It's generally putting that stuff out there, so it's very handy little external program. The only thing that Clip Studio is missing for you is snap to center. I don't even know what that is actually. Wait, what do you draw in, Katie? Is it Photoshop? Oh, it's so much more affordable. It's worth putting in the time. It just, I think that like the feeling of drawing your lines, like this nice smoothness that you can have, the nice thin thick, I just feel like it's easier to do that in Clip Studio. Oh, you draw in Adobe Illustrator. Oh wow, that's different altogether then again if you're working in vectors. So Sky Mall, you're Adobe for life, no way. I've never understood that. Well, that's not true. I suppose like I've always been like if I talked about consoles, like yo Nintendo or whoever it is or whatever. But whichever program does the better job, a program is just a program. Whichever one works better for your needs is the one that you should use. I'm gonna up that. Cartoon Katie killed. I'm looking for it. Can we get a shout out for Katie? I assume Katie streams here because I'd like to follow Katie myself. Don't shout too loud or PlayStation won't send me a PS6. I mean, I like PlayStation as well, obviously. I've done a good bit of work for PlayStation. For those wondering what we're on about there, I got to do some cool promotional stuff for the release of Spider-Man on the PS4. So very graciously they sent me one. So yeah, am I allowed to do that? Can I shout out Katie? Okay, I'll find that afterwards. Definitely Katie for sure. Looking forward to seeing that. I'm actually quite curious. I haven't seen somebody draw in Illustrator for years. So I'm quite curious of the process of all of that. "100% support all the artists." Yes. There you go. There is this kind of a thing on Twitch that comes from the gaming side of it, where like they're like, when you come onto people's streams, you're not supposed to self-promote or this kind of stuff or whatever. But that's absolutely not something that I subscribe to when it comes to the art side of it on here. Because it's just awesome to see other people's art, you know. You live trace your Photoshop drawing. That's how you draw in Illustrator. I'm confused. To turn it into vectors, like, is it? Is that what you mean? Okay, I definitely want to have, so I want him to really, really pop in the foreground. So I want to get lots of folds in here into this jacket to add in those dark shadows, so that remember I was saying how like you'll be drawn to a part faster than others. Okay. So I'm going to add more dark shadow areas to this jacket to fulfill that purpose, to bring our eyes directly over. We are at 2 hours. Am I allowed to go longer? What's the story, Wacom? I don't know how long I'm supposed to be going for. Because I would draw all day. Draw, absolutely. Would you like the page that I'm drawing, Tara, or the page that you're working on? As long or as short as I'd like. Okay, well, we'll see you next week, guys. Oh, I'm only kidding. Cool, well, let's definitely finish our character here for sure. I've been drawing all day. I have, but those are my favorite days. They are, like, I feel like I've been very productive today now. And to be honest with you, I actually spent the first 3 or 4 hours of the day working on a different project, prepping stuff for it. So I wasn't quite sure how much of this comic that I would have gotten through today. So over the course of streaming, so like I did how long did we stream for earlier? Was it like a 5 hour? I do have to get up at 6. We actually bought my son a clock that tells him when the sun is up for him to come up, and we trialed it last night and it was a disaster, but it might get a bit better tomorrow. So hopefully I'll get to stay in bed a little bit longer. It's the middle of the day for you, so if I could draw for 6 more hours, no problem, until my son gets up then. But yeah, a very productive day. I have a lot of really, really cool projects coming to the fore. This comic coming out was a big one. But next year is going to be a very, very interesting year for me. So the days need to be productive, because that's the thing about drawing, you know. You can't like obviously you need to look after yourself and take your own time on how you do things and things like that, and that's all fine. Of course, that's very, very important, but like your progress is completely down to yourself. And I felt good all day today. I've gotten to do lots of drawing, which I'm quite happy about. Sketchy. Yeah, we did it backwards, and this clock is telling him to wake up all night long. Imagine it. You're almost done with your page. Nice one, Tara. Stubble. We've drawn a lot of stubble and a lot of curls for this page, this book. But I enjoy that. I hope you enjoy watching it. Stubble brush. I've tried that before. See, the stubble is directional, Gary. it needs to go around in a certain kind of a pattern for me for it to feel right for me. So a stubble brush, and there is a way to do that with this. I find it a bit easier. You do 5 panels today, Sketchy. That's great. That's not bad at all. That's a page, you know. So. Thanks everyone for hanging out, by the way. This is really enjoyable. I really, really appreciate it. And hello to everyone that's new, that I haven't met before on stream. It's a pleasure to be here. Keep the questions coming. It's absolutely, I'm trying not to slip into just full on inking mode and enjoy and relax myself and just draw, stubble away, whatever. Wacom question. Do you have to set the sensitivity level? It's never something I've done, Sketchy. There certainly are a couple of different things that you do at the start to set it up. There's good ways to set up your shortcuts. So like everyone has different ways of doing it. So like I have my undo button set to right there. So like I'm drawing along and boop, it's gone. So it's nice, quick and easy. People have different shortcuts for different ways of doing things. I actually have the second button on the key then. You can't see this here, but that's bringing up my radial menu. And I can select my different brush width. So I've just gone to a thicker brush width there on my radial menu, back to a thinner one, back to like the thinnest one that I use for stubble. I also have mirror image set onto that radial thing. Oh, you can change the pressure sensitivity. Oh, okay. You have one hand on your delete button on your keyboard. I'm trying to stay away from keyboards as much as I can, Kevin. So like you'll have your express keys or whatever you can use in your left hand is the important thing. Oh, it's no problem at all, Sketchy. That's what I'm here for. I'm looking forward to seeing you setting up, like it's your first time digital, and as your name suggests, you're quite sketchy with your pencils, so it's going to be very interesting to see the switch over to digital. Your bottom pen button is drag, as in you mean like this button to bring up the move tool. This is a new one for me, having the rotate function so quickly accessible for me. You're always be tweaking, always be Irish and splashy. Always tweak your process to refine it, to get it easier, to fix your posture. Like my posture is pretty good now when I'm drawing, I think. My back is pretty straight. Spilling is a very real thing. I would say, so over the course of the years, you're going to lose pages by not saving it enough, or losing layers and stuff like that. Like it's the same way that like when you draw traditionally, you'll spill your ink on a piece or whatever it is. Unfortunately, that kind of stuff is all part of it for absolutely everything. Stubble. And it's cool that you're going to be coloring on stream. This is one of the things as well that like for Twitch, it's easier for people to click into a nice colored image rather than inks for some reason. They're just going to be like more clickable. Okay, I'll leave the stub like that for a little while. I'm going to work on my line weights here now, and I'm really going to do that thick to thin thing. I want to give him like a nice thick outline, because I have it hidden here, but he's in front of a load of trees, so I want to make sure that he's separated quite well from those trees. Okay, so I'm actually going to put it on a separate layer, because I want to be able to see it if it works, and I might need to adjust it more. when I come out of this. And I'm trying to keep the form of the lines. Sometimes when you put like an outline on it, you can smooth the lines and smooth the edges too much with it. You don't necessarily want to do that. So keep the form and the sharpness of different edges as much as you can. Like there's a good example of that. Just that point right there. Okay. Try not to lose the details that you don't want to lose by putting in these thick lines. Will this piece be colored? Not by me. So Rochelle Rosenberg, who's coloring Hell to Pay, she's starting her first stream on Friday. So yeah, she's great. So she's colored a lot of my Marvel stuff, and we do a lot of we got to do an amazing stream for Marvel where we myself and Nelson Blake worked on like an image that she came along and colored afterwards. It was Marvel's first kind of long form stream, and it went really, really well. What's her Twitch handle? Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. With the first printing of Hell to Pay, will I be advertising that within it? I hadn't really thought about that. That's not a bad idea because, you know, when the first issue comes out, you know, I'll probably be working on like the 4th or the 5th issue or something. So people, you know, people who, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even know Twitch exists. So people that go into a comic book store and they could be like, ooh, this is interesting. This is something new. We got some great exposure today with Sci-Fi picking it up, talking about it. So hopefully that drags a lot of eyes onto the channels. Have to put it in there? Yeah, we will. It's a good idea. Like, we can do whatever we want. That's what's so cool about it. You know, I love the process with Marvel, like where Marvel, you know, take over all that stuff and they have their own promotional team that do everything. But I also love getting to have like such a heavy hand in the promotion side of things that I'll have with this book. So, you'll see it in the trade. I would put it in the issue as well. I think it's a good idea, Gary. And this is what I like about it doing this way as well, you know. People can contribute, you know. Catch my mistakes live. Give really, really good advice along the way. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer now. So I'm happy with that outline there now. He's nice and blocked in. I actually might even separate him a bit further from the background with a white outline there. I'll test that out later. I'm not sure if I will, but we'll see. Alright. Advertise the comic, Twitch blows up and we'll be able... there you go. Sketchy, there you go. Did I not like the first version I drew? Wait, what do you know about Terremoto? So you would have been shown a letter page of a Marvel book before it goes to print. I assume we will with this. I'll see a lot more with this then as well, yeah. No, and to be honest with you, no. I was rarely shown the lettered stuff before it goes to print. It was always there for me if I asked for it. But I always let them deal with that. Like the writer obviously goes over the proofs and stuff, so. You think I do this? No, never did. I suppose, no. It's kind of similar, I guess, to that. Is it just instinct where I put my hatching? Oops, made a mistake there. Yeah, kinda. Like I like here. I want to round out the pocket. So like I don't want to be hatching up here where the light's hitting. I'm hatching where I want. I'm thinking about the grays. So hatching is the gray. The black is the dark shadows. The hatching is the gray areas, and it's an opportunity for me to add in more detail, more form and more volume. That's kind of what I'm doing here. So I'm not brilliant at hatching at all. I personally like the way I hatch, but it's not always super correct in terms of technically. But I don't know, I like the feeling of it for some reason. I like the stage. For me, I like what it brings to my drawings. Yeah, very good point, Sketchy. It's exactly it, yeah. When you're zoomed in, like the hatches are just lines, okay? When you zoom out, that starts to read as gray. So I hatch for selfish reasons. Never heard it put like that. No, that was wrong. That was against the form. See, like I still got to think of the form of this piece, and those are lazy hatching lines. I'm going to redo those. I just like doing it. Well, these are indications to your colorist as well. All this kind of stuff, but it's more than that. Like the inking lines are still very much red when they look at the overall piece. I felt like that phone was too big, but now I feel like it's too small. This is a handy way of figuring that out. That's my wife. I didn't realize she'd be on the screen. That's about right, is it? No, it could be a bit bigger actually, yeah. I'd say a lot of people color in Photoshop, but I would say people will be moving over to clip more and more. Let's make that phone bigger. Thank you, Corn Dog. Thanks for hanging out. Just making it a tiny bit bigger, Fiddy. Just a tiny bit. These things probably don't matter at the end of the day, but you know. Why not? Oh, Tara, you're on his screen? In the comic? You assume Photoshop would be handy for effects. Clip Studio is pretty much up to par with a lot of the stuff now, sketchy. Oh, are you drawing along, Tormodo? Class. Yeah, that's the problem. All of the mistakes I make, you'll end up having to make. I feel like also his head is a little bit too long. His neck is a little bit too long. I don't mind it either. Now let's bring back in our backgrounds. I drew this nice white layer around it all. I can just delete what we have here. And boom. We are in the environment. We are part of our panel. We are ready to go. Ready to break into this castle. Cool. Oh, when you saw the phone, it felt small. Oh, cool. Yeah, don't ever be afraid to say that stuff when I'm drawing it along as well. And that's how you draw a tree. Yeah, it magically appeared. Yeah, that would be cool if someone is drawing along. I am doing it quite a little bit fast, I suppose. Okay. Tutorial time. What would you like me to draw? What would you like me to show you how to draw while you have me? We've gone through here and we've drawn our character. We've taken it from nothing to full finished inks to what you're going to see in the final comic book page, which is cool. So when you pick up this comic, this is what's going to be there in the end, which you know, I quite enjoy. How to draw chains, but purely for a selfish reason, sure. Keep them coming. Let me break down chains for you. Darth Vader. Okay, so chains. Chains are essentially, if you break down chains, this is a chain link. Think of it as a rectangle. And then you rotate it around on its side, you know, and it's going to be like that, okay? So you want to, when I draw chains, I draw these parts very close to each other, okay? Let's draw the chain flat first, okay? And then the interconnecting parts like this. The chain links, they don't break away far from each other, is a key thing to remember here. You don't want to be drawing the individual chain parts like this, which is a natural instinct, because the chain is the same length as these ones on the side, so that would need to be that length, so that's not right. So they stay very close to each other, okay? So this is basic chain, okay? That's the shape that you think of when you're inking. So I can come along now. You know, let me drop this down, okay? And draw these parts of the chains here like this. I can make it a bit more curvy. Okay. They take time. There's no two ways about it. I'm obviously doing it nice and quick here, okay? All right, so there you go. So that's your kind of a chain. Then next step, to take it up a level, think of the lighting. Think of like adding a shadow to your chain. The chain link piece will cast a shadow on the pieces that are underneath it. So that will add in your shape and form. So these are kind of circular, so these are the bits that will catch the shadows. Okay, I know this is very, very loose, but The basics are there, okay. All right. And then if we want to get a bit more adventurous, all right, we can start to rotate the chain around. So instead of always drawing square ones, I'm going to make this one thinner. And then very thin. And then this one becomes, actually put it close to it, sorry. And then this one becomes a flat one. Like this. And let's rotate, open it back up a bit. And fully out, okay. So then our alternating chain is here. So, and this one, let me actually do this in another layer, okay? So that one needs to open to like work with these. So it'll go like that, okay? So then back into what I was drawing. This is actually messing with my mind a little bit. Sorry now. Okay. Difficult. Thinking of the parts which are going over and which parts are going under. Okay. Or you could just make a chain brush like Gary did. A lot of work in chains. But there you go, like that chain bit has twisted around or whatever. Just so it's not very uniform like this top half. Like that's a bit more visually interesting than this top half, which is it's just a little bit too easy that they're all perfectly at right angles from each other, okay? Quick breakdown of the entire muscular system. What's the thing about the lack of shoe detail in the piece? Because it's going to be covered over with rocks. I can go in and I'll do them actually, I'll draw them. But they're going to be covered over with rocks. What have I missed, Darth Vader? I can't believe that the Ghost Rider stream was 3 months ago. What Ghost Rider stream? Oh, for Marvel, sorry. It's definitely more complicated, but think just, you know, you can stick with that top half, Thor. Muscles in the back, sure. Let me use my handy crochet, okay? And I'll draw a reference from that. And it's about breaking them down into their simple segments again, okay? So I'll block out the back here. I'll just do quick back and shoulders. Get your arms coming out like this here, okay? All right, so these are the key points. So we have your spine coming down the middle, which separates it for a mirror image. This area here, okay, so is actually the piece that you see from the front, the back of the neck, that wraps up around the back of the neck here. So when you're seeing these muscles here that I don't have, but that people have from the front, it's actually wrapping up around the back like this. It tracks up around the back of it like that. So it makes it easier for you to understand it when you're drawing from the front. If you do that, I'm looking at my reference here. The shoulder muscle comes out then from underneath that. Okay, and you've got a nice little, I have no idea what the names of them are, muscle that comes down here. When you're drawing the side of a character, you'll often have, you know, like if I was drawing the front, okay, if I was drawing the front of a character, you know, you draw the front way more than you'll draw the back. You'll have muscles kind of coming down like this, okay? And then there's your abs. And then this muscle comes around the side like this here. So that basically wraps around to here, wraps all the ways around to at the front. So like if I kind of again trace the lines of the direction of the muscle there. So the key areas that we've identified here are this area up the back like this that wraps around from the front. Your shoulder muscle comes out from that, as does this segment, whatever that's called. And then this part which wraps around. And you're pretty much good then. So I'm just looking here. There's other little bits of details that you can put in. But like you have the key areas here. Butt muscles. Okay. And that's all you need. Little back muscle bits and pieces in here. Then think of them if you want to shade them. Think of them in the round. So if we put a light source up here, they're essentially the best thing that a muscle will do is that they'll give you shape and form for shadow. So that's what each of them does. So I can think of them in the round and like find the bits of area that each back muscle creates. Okay. So if I, again, very loose and very, very dirty, but if I turn off everything else there, I've identified like those, let me make it to blue. I can use the shadows created by the muscles, okay? What about a dad bod? Less muscles. The lats, aren't these the lats? Oh, you're trying to remember what they were called. Aren't they the lats there? Could be wrong. I could be wrong. I actually don't know. Oh, if you get banned. Oh, yeah. The traps at the top. Yeah, I don't know the names. You don't need to know the names at all, to be fair. It's not something that you want to do. I want to keep going for another half hour. I want to hit the 3-hour mark. So keep... I assume that's all right. What else did we draw? We flew through that piece. I can go back. I can draw the next panel, which is a face of our character. It might be the thing to do. Or I can keep showing you different things to do. So it's up to you. So you can now lead the chat. Okay. Okay, I'll do the panel. If people want to come up with stuff, that's absolutely no problem at all, okay? Where is my page? Here we go. Let me see. Let's start drawing. Let me create a new layer and let's go through that whole sculptural thing as well. Exploding light or power from a character. Okay, we'll. Do you know what? I'll draw that into here, into our character here, just to show you. I'm guessing that's a thing that comes up in your character or in your comic book sketchy. So remember that tease method. So that's what I'm looking for. Those are the points. And I'm good from here now. I have all of the points of the face that I need to go from. I really like this method. I don't really need to go into too much detail with the anatomy of the figure because I just know like he's going to have like big kind of like coat parts like this here. This is your classic headshot. Okay. You assumed I was done? Wait, what? Okay, sorry, no. Okay. So, whenever you're drawing an eye, I try not to draw with ovals. It's just not really that interesting. I try to draw with more straight lines if you can. It's just more visually interesting. This to me looks like somebody starting out learning how to draw. Whereas if you add a bit more shape to them, more interesting shapes, it just starts to look a bit more interesting to me. So okay, so let's ink and draw this face. Wrong size brush. I was messing all my brush sizes up for all of you earlier. You try not to draw eyes at all, just a line? Yeah. A lot of people will leave out the eyes. So you're always using your pen on the black desk. put tape around it. You make female eyes more rounded than males. Yeah. Yeah. There can be something can be said for doing that, for sure. Where's my reference? Okay. There's something to be said for not drawing all of the lines as well. All my brushes are off their normal setting because I was drawing stuff really, really big and fast a while ago. Okay. I would say pass a message along to your desk design production team, Kenny. As a man who made it as a comic book artist, is there any advice I would give to young Will? Ooh. I was just thinking of I wish I knew in school that it was a feasible career. So I might have spent more time drawing back then, and a couple of the years that I needed to put in afterwards, I might have had a bit more of a step up on those. Young Will. You should make some glow in the dark pen rings. That would be really cool. How cool would custom artist pens be? Artist signature pens. Like the way that you get your Air Jordans or whatever, you could get your whatever artist pens. Would that work? Maybe not. Cool characters on them. Yeah, like the characters they design and stuff. Pen skins. Skins for your pen. A button on the side that makes the pen start beeping. Well, one of the amazing things about these pens, and this is what I don't understand, is why other pens need charging and these don't. I wouldn't want ever there for these to need a battery. And beeping, I assume, would need to do that. The Sliney series pen. You're trying to get your dad to wood turn custom stylus holders. Yeah, there's definitely I've seen people sculpt stylus holders and print them out. That's really cool. That is very cool. Actually, didn't I just say earlier I'm going to try and thin down the lines and noses as I'm drawing them? You have a stormtrooper one? Cool. Very cool. Your dad's retired? There you go, yeah. Yeah, 3D printing is amazing, and that's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like one of the reasons why I want to get back into sculpting is like, how cool would it be to start making my own little statues of these characters, you know? Baby Yoda pen holder, ooh. What's Thingiverse? Is that like a market for sketching stuff like that or getting stuff like that? Wood turning is cooler. Wood turning is very cool. Wood turning, I feel like, has a higher skill level than sculpting something on ZBrush. It ain't got no Control Z. Just a place to get 3D objects to print. No way. Cool. Use your Doc Ock figure. That's actually a great idea. What else are you going to use those hands for? Without realizing it, I've just made him look to camera, and that's a big no-no. How often do you see that in a movie? Because I was in tutorial kind of eye mode, I just did him looking straight on. That's hilarious. Fourth wall breaking already. More architectural, cool, Gary. That's pretty cool. When you're drawing mouths, right, people will often draw the mouth with like the biggest open part in the center. But often the bit that catches the shadows the most are the bits either side. So if you flip your thinking with a mouth, right? And you have your mouth like that, that can look more interesting, and then get your shadow underneath your lip like that there. That to me is more interesting than a mouth that's going like that. You get me? Interesting little things. It's about putting in like nice looking things for your reader to see, to like click onto. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have spent many hours with me here now today, so thank you so much again. The difference between yeah, of course. Well, lipstick can be the key difference between them because it just defines more of the mouth, so therefore you have to draw in more. It's strange, you know, as a colorist, like if you look at any male's lips, they're pink, like. But if you color them pink on a comic book page, it's gonna look like they're wearing lipstick. It's all about these strange shorthands that we know, that we have subconsciously. So, and then on the flip side, like even if a lady isn't wearing lipstick, you still would define the lips a little bit more when you're drawing them. And these are just all these weird shorthand things that we kind of have, I suppose. I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Okay. Cool. Okay. Same deal with the hair. Definitely don't draw everything. Don't draw in every line. Break it up into clumps. Think of the light and shadow and define those. But don't draw every strand. The vermilion. Gary, you are educating me so much on these names today. The vermilion border. One day you'll see him smiling. Yeah, you will actually. He smiles in issue 1 for a very, very brief moment, and then he realizes, oops, that's going to be one of those pieces, one of the pages that's coming up that, you know, it might not be exactly apparent what's going on, and I'm not necessarily going to tell you as you're watching it. You know what I mean? So, Wacom. Wacom Experience Center. What is coming up next on your streams? I would like to know as we wrap this up. Fab question. Well, I kind of want to know for myself. Sebastian is a bit of a what character, Sketchy? This Friday, the 18th at 3 p.m, we've got our live animated battle series. What? Tell me more. That's pretty cool. I don't know what Marty means. I'm going to Google it right now. I'm guessing that was... Oh, bad mood, sulky, or grumpy. Yeah. I guess so. Never heard of Marty before. Create and animate in After Effects in Photoshop by your very own Sky Mallrats. That's cool. There was loads of people on the stream, on my stream the last few days, talking and asking about animation. It's just outside of my wheelhouse, so I know where to direct them. Stoic. Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. He's going well, rats. Yeah, very excited to see that. Thanks so much, Tara. Enjoy your dinner. We're wrapping it up here now. We have 10 more minutes. I'll hit the 3-hour mark. I can feel the inking energy draining out from me, but very, very happy with a productive day today for sure. You did teach me something. You can watch past episodes on your Twitch stream or on YouTube to get caught up. The battle for the win. That's class. Final round hilarious for wow. You're animating stuff in After Effects live on stream? Wow. Interesting, because I'm currently using After Effects in a similar way, but I have lots that I need to learn. So, cool. I can't wait to check those out. Live After Effects. We didn't think it would work either. I don't know. I think like if you're showing, this is it. Like you're opening up the process of how to do this stuff. Bring everybody into these creative worlds. Love it. Absolutely love that. Like I've watched so many YouTube videos on After Effects in the last 6 months or so. Not something that I was actually expecting to use in the professional capacity that I have to use it for now, but in this new project that I'm working on, there is a big animated element to it, and I like how much easier is it to learn something when that person is there and I can ask them to, change, this Friday is Here for Cheese, Clash of Cronies is back on the 30th. Okay, cool. What's on Here for Cheese? What's up? What are you going to be doing? Coloring and ink drawing, nice. Great. Photoshop or Clip Studio? Oh, I've made a mistake with the selection area. Photoshop. Class. I think that I think I was saying this earlier, that coloring is what will really draws people in for Twitch. I think that's a great thing. Cool. I almost wish it was part of my process for Twitch alone, if that makes any sense. But I'm very, very happy that I have Rochelle coloring my stuff. Because I'm very, very slow at coloring. Okay, we got him done quicker than I thought we would, which is great. Must be even harder for a writer on Twitch. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I feel like it can be done. But you'd want to be, be able to do things on the fly. If someone is like, a big enough name and successful enough, for sure, people will want to come in and just chat with them and talk about their process and stuff. Could somebody actually live write with those distractions though? I don't think so. So much of drawing is about like you figure a thing out and then your hand goes and does it. So in that time period where your hand is actually doing it, you can kind of interact with the chat and stuff like that. We stream 3 to 4 times a week, so make sure to turn on those notifications. Absolutely. Wait, welcome to the chat room. Did I get dropped out there for a second or something? We still going? Yeah, no, we are. Weird. I don't know why that came up. It sounds like Conan is a bit more laid back. Yeah, absolutely. Here for cheese. I agree. Yeah, it can be. Tara, who was in the chat earlier, she does a lot of colouring on stream, which is, it's a very good way to interact with people for sure. 3 to 4 times a week. That's some good going. All right. There's more to be added to this face for sure. But the important stuff is done. This is going to be a panel of Maya over here. Let me turn off my sketch lines. Actually, I had some older ones. Where is she? Let's see. Down here. Yeah, So you can see it changing from her gear, and then Sebastian is walking towards the place that we're doing. But that's not a bad 3 hours. Not gonna lie, got a good bit done there. Now, this is one of the things, because I was drawing with my background not on view, because I wanted to make it nice and clear for you. I've created a tangent here. See this? See the way they interact with each other? That is wrong. That is a mistake that you need to kind of watch out for. So because it joins them together on the same plane. So I'm just going to come back in and adjust my background, thinking about, with that in mind. So I got to watch out for a few of those. That's not too good there either. There maybe. Got to watch out for those tangents. Okay. This is what I was saying earlier, like it might not be a bad shout for me to put a border effect on him and see, pop up. Oh, okay. I just didn't realize there was a line there that didn't need to be there. So it's just kind of, it's popping him away from the background a little bit. So we'll see. Get rid of it for now. Okay. Are there any pages coming up that I'm hesitant to start? Let me show you. Yes. So this page, let me zoom in so you can see that clearer. It's a lot of stuff that I need to draw. This page, thanks Nemisar, thank you so much for hanging out. There's just a lot. They're going to take a long time. These are the different battles down in hell. This is where I want to stick in loads of people from the chat. That's going to be fun. So if people agree to it, these are different souls for sale down in heaven. Yeah. And like, you know, that's just going to take a couple of days. There's no two ways about it. You know, that's comics for you. It's a balance. Whereas this page isn't going to take me a day. I quite like that panel now, actually. Looks quite tough. So there we go. So unless anyone has any questions while I'm here, will I start it and come back to it? Maybe, Gary. Or it might just be one that I just kind of just go in and draw. We'll see. Might not be a bad shout for a potential 24-hour stream. Oh, it's getting in there, Sketchy, definitely. He is smouldering. The more smouldering the character, the more attractive they are to look at in a comic, I find. Yeah. Cool. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I really enjoyed that. And it was productive. And you're going to see this comic book page. You just want to see him smile. Aw, pinches so you can make him smile. Maybe it'll happen in the end. Maybe there's a happy ending. Maybe there's not a happy ending. Who knows? Yeah, it's been a great day. No, Wacom, thank you so much for having me. I genuinely appreciate it. And look, I'm always around to do more if you ever need, for sure. Yeah, very productive. Hopefully for those of you that were here that you learned, oh my god, yes, save, that I was able to kind of teach you a few things. I threw in a lot of things early at the start, and then we just went ahead and we got knuckled down and got through the inking side of things and stuff like that then as well. So that was really, really good fun. And it's the first ever appearance of this character on a stream properly, you know, and you never know where this ends up. Like a lot of comics, like how cool it would be if this comic ends up being optioned and ends up like in TV and stuff like that, and you can say that, yeah, I saw him on the Wacom Experience Center stream first. No, so much fun. So thank you so much for having me. I have an end screen that I need to hit. I really, really enjoyed it. And thank you again so much for having me, Wacom. So thank you so much.